So I am a firm believer that you should not kowtow to practicality. Decoration should always come first. It is an 18th century farmer's cottage, and it's been the most consistent thing in my children's lives. It's been the place where they've come to since they were born, and it hasn't changed. I have my travel business where I take people riding in a very remote part of Kyrgyzstan, which has really been a passion of mine for 20 years. And then I have a second business called the Tolstoy Edit, which is I source antiques and decorative things, and they're mostly folk influenced, and they actually really tie in with the travel. When I first bought the cottage, the structure was all the same. I did make some changes, but I would say that they were more restorative changes rather than modernising changes. I wanted to be very kind and empathetic to its roots. My father gave me this lovely book here called English Cottage Interiors, and I found that cottages, generally, they would have been painted with this wainscot brown, which is a Farrow and Ball colour. The antiques, I wanted it to be very English. It is very English. So I've got, well, English and Welsh antiques, principally, I say. You can't really have a cottage without Staffordshire. So I've gone quite bananas on the Staffordshire here. But it's so decorative. I think it looks so great with the green plates. And then it's so sweet. My son, he gave me these for Christmas. He sourced them on eBay, and then he was really upset because when they came, he said, "Oh, I thought they were really big," and he'd just seen them in the photo. These are lovely Victorian shell works. So this chair, I was really wanting to introduce some chintz into this room because I thought, yeah, everything's great, but actually a cottage without chintz is not really a cottage. This is one that has just been relaunched by Sybil Colfax, and I found this really sweet little proportioned tiny old armchair and had it covered, and it is the comfiest chair to watch TV in, so thrilled with that. I've collected embroidered pictures, samplers, and I love lustreware and never can resist. I seem to be able to go on and on, accumulating and finding spaces for it. And then some blue willow-pattern. These are very organic colours which work really well. The whole thing of this cottage is the inside space goes out to the outside space. When the children are here, the doors are always open, everything's covered in mud, they're in and out, and there isn't really a difference between inside and outside. And so I feel like the antiques work with that. The kitchen is the heart, I think, of any home, especially when you have children. This is just the most wonderful table for having people to dinner, and I've had lots and lots of dinner parties or supper parties. And we were really lucky that it had this lovely stone-flagged floor already, so that's absolutely great. I found these wonderful old Delft tiles, so that's like a tiny little concession to practicality, so it doesn't splash all over the wall. Decoration should always come first. And I've continued that through the kitchen. I've put all the dogs together. I've got these lovely wood carvings that I've collected. Then I found that this is like an old glass lampshade under here, but I don't know how, but it got cracked. And so then I got someone to make this and add it on, which I love. We did have a lovely plum tree, but it blew down half in a storm, and we used to use the ladder to pick all the plums, but I've now got a son who's mad about making things, so he's often using that. During the flood, the oil that was there got damaged, and it was an oil one, so then I was able to get rid of the oil tank and put in this electric one. I was very lucky. I was able to ask, which has now become a wonderful friend, Emma Burns of Sybil Colfax, to help me. And she came up with a design for the new unit, and it was brilliant. I always say this cottage, it's super modern in terms of comfort, but you know, you wouldn't really see that, and it just feels like it's lots of antiques and lovely things that I love. I love making cakes, and I've always made loads of cakes, but I have never been able to ice like Maria. So this is my bedroom. I have the same bed here as in London. I just find it a very, very cosy, comfortable bed, and it's always got children and dogs. And hidden in there is a TV, and we sit and watch TV here together. The bed is a kind of real example of how I love layering. This is one of Natalie Farmer's Russian-inspired fabrics, and just the perfect palette of colours with the beautiful carpet, antique carpet, and then this is an American patchwork, which I found really locally, actually. It's so harmonious. I love having big cushions on a bed because they're just so nice to sit up and read. I use this lovely little fireplace a lot. It looks very ornamental, but it's actually very, very effective in the winter. And this armchair over here, I designed for Love Your Home. And I found an archived old Russian design, designed for the Central Asian market, and I had it printed and I really fell in love with it. So this is the only room which has actually changed, because it started off, I had one baby, my oldest son, and then I very quickly had another son and another cot, and then I had Maria. So gradually, over 5 years, it went from cot to bed, and then in the end I had to get a third bed, but there was this radiator and I couldn't move it, and I wouldn't have been able to open the door either. So I got this cast iron bed and got them to chop it down. So now sometimes Maria sleeps in it with her legs sticking out. I think it's formed so much of their childhood. They've made amazing camps here. Do you remember in lockdown, darling, when you made that, put the mattresses on top and tied them up with ropes? I've read so many stories from here, and we won't change it now. Even though you've grown out of that bed, we're not going to get rid of it, are we? No? This outside space was here, but it was just completely white. Actually, it was a friend of mine who came, Benedict Foley, and he said, you know, you should really make that your proper workspace where it's really inspiring. So I kept the glossy brown woodwork, because I thought that then tied through from the cottage, and got some more chintz. I got this wonderful antique Uzbek patchwork, which is really quite unusual, and an Uzbek piece of silk that I have made into this lovely ruched blind. And then I love it because it's Uzbekistan, but you look out very English rose from that window. So reminding you, you know, where you are. It's really great to have a space where I can show what I do. It's very personal, this room, and a bit more eclectic. I really wanted to create a kind of old-fashioned cottage garden with lots of colour, lots of cutting flowers. I really do notice that summers have got hotter and we have so little shade. So we've got this wonderful umbrella this year. And then this shed has been absolutely life-changing because my boys are both just become teenagers. It's all from recycled old corrugated iron. All they want to do in the holidays is be here. They don't want to go anywhere, they don't want to go abroad, they don't want to do anything, they just want to be in their shed. The wonderful thing is I just love that view going up. It's called Marriage Hill. And I've walked up there thousands and thousands of times. To be able to sit outside and look at it is just my idea of heaven. Something I really, really love about England and about this cottage, which I think kind of summarises England, is that I love every season. I love the winter, and I especially love it here. I love that it gets dark early, that we have the fire, and it's so cosy. And I think because it's so small, it really throws us together as a family, and it's really lovely in that way.